Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Bojan Zivanovic, and I'm a Drupal contributor from neighboring Serbia. And my main hobby nowadays is being the project lead for Drupal Commerce. This talk is called The Past, Present, and Future of E-Commerce on Drupal, but I actually made a mistake and only asked for 25 minutes instead of 45, so we're kind of going to skip the past and focus more on the present and the future, but maybe that's actually for the better. Now, Drupal Commerce was started in 2010 as a fresh new project from scratch that would make use of the new technologies that Drupal 7 was bringing us. Fieldable entities were changing everything. Combined with views, it would allow us to model all of these e-commerce objects that we needed for flexibility that we previously didn't have, so that you could easily model your products, your transactions, payments, orders, whatever was needed. And by doing that, we created a system that was immediately obvious to people who already knew Drupal. If you knew Drupal 7, then you also knew Drupal Commerce. And we released the first stable version in 2011, in August at DrupalCon London, which started our Drupal 7 cycle. Before we continue, quick show of hands. Who here has used Drupal Commerce? Okay, a fair number of hands. Who here has used Drupal Commerce on Drupal 8? I don't need to say anything. Let's just go and have ice cream. So the Drupal 7 cycle was really good for us. We reached 30,000 websites in 2013, and that was the point where we became mature. We reached 60,000 websites later on. And since we were the first ones to really make use of the Entity API, we had a chance to develop all of these custom generic modules that became popular elsewhere in the community, such as Entity Reference, which went into Drupal core, Views Bulk Operations, Inline Entity Form, Entity Queue, and others. We built a Drupal distribution, which was Commerce Kickstart, meant to provide a demo for e-commerce websites, at the time thought to be the best Drupal distribution, which was also great. And we had all of these large sites launching that to this day remain as some of the most advanced Drupal 7 sites in general. We also did something kind of odd. I don't know if this happens to you from time to time, but one day we accidentally built a cloud platform. You know, you're procrastinating, there's a project to be done, and then you have a cloud platform. So we built platform.sh in 2014, and by the end of 2015, it was kind of a big deal. And Commerce Guys at the time was split into two parts. The part that's doing the cloud platform, and the other part that was doing agency development of Drupal Commerce and Drupal Commerce sites. And we realized that this split focus was not good for either of us, so we decided to split the two sides. And in February 2016, we relaunched Commerce Guys. And we did that by basically letting platform.sh keep the old company, and we created a new company, just the three of us, and took the old name. And that was the start of the company we have today, which has about 10 people all over the world. The goal of the new company was to relaunch Drupal Commerce on Drupal 8. We knew that Drupal 8 would once again change everything, just like Drupal 7 did, and we knew we needed to start from scratch to make use of all of these new tools of object-oriented code, everything that came with it. And at that time, the new version was already in development. In September 2017, we launched Commerce 2.0 for Drupal 8. And we did that with over 13 release parties all over the world. People had cake in the honor of Drupal Commerce in North America, in Europe, in Asia. It was really great to see, and it was a good sign that the community was still interested and invested in the platform. And this brings us to the present. I promised I wouldn't spend too much time in the past. So you already know some of the things that we brought to the table with the new Drupal Commerce, but let's take a moment to actually recap. The biggest change we made compared to the Drupal 7 times was that we added a lot more features. We reevaluated what the most popular Drupal 7 contribs were and decided to merge some of them into Drupal Commerce so that when we released the new version, you would immediately have the tools you need to create a website. Instead of needing 50 Drupal modules, now you would need Commerce plus Search API plus shipping or recurring, and you're done. And we reevaluated these contribs. We found many that were needed for making checkout work nicely, for payment APIs, for product UIs. All of that was folded in. So the new Commerce just does more. We also changed the way we develop Commerce, because the old Commerce was developed like Drupal 7. You remember, Drupal 7 was released, and then that was it. It was kind of abandoned, because the old way meant that you had this waterfall development model. We would develop all the features, and then after that, we would change no UI text, we would accept only bug fixes, and that would be it. See you in the next major version. But with Drupal 8, we decided that we could not do that anymore. It isn't feasible to wait 2 years for the next platform. Instead, we would keep adding features so that when you install Drupal 8, and in turn when you install Commerce, you keep getting new features and new capabilities, and the value of your investment, at least your time investment, keeps growing. And we decided to start having monthly releases. So instead of yearly, now we did monthly. And each month we would close 30 to 50 issues and ship relevant bug fixes and new features to everyone. And since we released Commerce 2.0, we've made 13 releases, with the next one happening in the next few weeks and being really large. And it's a model that has really worked out well for us, because it means that if you have a problem with Commerce and you complain today, you might just get a fix for that next month. And if you invest time into contributing, you can put that into production within a month or two. And that is a big change. We improved Commerce for the projects where it does best. You know that multilingual is a big strength of Drupal. Many systems just don't have those capabilities, and this is a big strength of ours. Drupal 8 took that even further. So in addition to that, we found that Commerce is great for these sites that operate in multiple markets, that do multiple currencies, and all of that is improved in Commerce with the new store entity, with the new support for internationalization, with taxes, and we've seen it successfully used where people use the same sites to power, for example, stores for individual Scandinavian countries or whatever else needs to be done. We rebuilt the product architecture, because in the Drupal 7 times people thought that was a bit too complex. So we moved to this model of product plus variations, which is what most e-commerce solutions do. And we introduced custom entity types for product attributes and their values. We redeveloped all of the UIs to make it nicer. We stopped using rules for promotions because people had a problem with the user experience of that form, and we developed completely custom UIs that also resemble the competition, so that out of the box you have support for not only promotions but also coupons with all of the bits and pieces that you'd expect, such as buy X get Y offers or bulk generation of coupons, limiting by usage, by customer, product value, everything that's needed. And the APIs are flexible and extensible, which means that you can also build your own custom thing. Each company tends to have their own pricing and business logic around these kinds of things, and you can easily develop a custom condition plugin or a custom offer plugin to do something completely different. If you watched Eric's talk yesterday, you probably saw a screenshot of the custom promotion system they have, and that's just one custom offer type plugin that integrates with the rest. We also improved our support for taxes, which for Europe was important because the EU keeps making taxes harder and harder. And now when you install Commerce, you get a predefined set of tax rates for all of Europe. And And they are updated for you, which means that you don't need to worry about that. And we have support for the different logic for physical versus digital use cases, B2B, and everything else. Basically, we shipped a small tax cloud inside Commerce. And of course, you still need modules that provide the site-specific features, and all of them have been greatly improved as well. They're larger, they have more features, and since they are now a part of the platform, they are maintained by us in a cyclical fashion. And all of these modules also demonstrate the commitment that other agencies have in the ecosystem, because they were all sponsored by someone else. So Adapt paid for shipping, Torchbox paid for recurring, Media paid for price list and wish list, and then Commerce guys would match that investment to keep maintenance and to go from like beta to a stable version. So shipping supports multiple shipments. Recurring has support for more advanced pricing models. Price list allows you to have lists of prices for different customers, stores, dates, anything that you need, and it's really performant. We have up to 200,000 prices on some sites, and it goes on and on. We've also invested a lot of time in the upgrade path from Drupal 6 and Drupal 7. The people who maintain Migrate in core actually maintain the Commerce Migrate module, which has tests and migrations for UberCart on D6 and D7 as a source, and Commerce on D7. They also started working on migrations for Magento 2 and WooCommerce 3. Those are less mature, and they need someone with a use case to actually help them out. But I'm really happy that with time we'll be able to help people move their sites easily to Drupal 8, or at least easier. For the first time ever, we have official documentation on a documentation site. So if you go to docs.drupalcommerce.org, you get this really nice site. It's generated from Markdown on GitHub, so you can send a pull request if you want something changed, or you can open a feature request if you need something explained. And we have people working on documentation every week to keep improving this. And this is something that's not a given for an open source project, so I'm really happy we were able to make this work. We also have an official demo which replaces what Kickstart was in the Drupal 7 days. So you can use Composer to install the demo project and get the Belgrade theme, to get demo content, and to just see how a commerce site is put together with faceted search, with everything an e-commerce site should have, as a learning experience, or simply to use it as a base for your own site, because with Drupal 8 it's much easier to delete the things you don't need and use the things that you do need. And all of this has brought us some great growth. The Drupal 8 version of Commerce is now used on over 8,000 websites. We have over 1,200 people on Slack. The Commerce channel on Drupal Slack is the most active channel on Drupal Slack, which for me has been incredible all the time. And what's great is that these numbers keep growing. So I gave a version of this talk 2 weeks ago, and the numbers were 7,500 websites and 50 people less on Slack. So every week these numbers increase. And we've had over 450 contributors just to Commerce and its dependencies in the last 3 years. Plus, there's easily twice as many people just developing contributed modules and payment gateways and sites, which shows that it's not just the few of us that maintain it, but it's also a very active community. And that's visible when you look at the fact that we have 114 payment gateways listed on docs.drupalcommerce.org. And each time I refresh the list, there's 20 more. And we basically do that once a month. So it shows that if you're starting a commerce site today, the payment gateway you need might already be written. If not, there's a lot of activity in the area, and I'm super happy to see it. There are also over 200 other contribs on Drupal.org that I can see and track, and this number keeps growing. But of course, we will want to make sure all of these modules become stable and are maintained over time as well. Which brings us to the fact that there is a really healthy agency ecosystem. So nowadays, we do not build Drupal Commerce sites ourselves. The old commerce guys, they built websites for you. We don't do that. We accept money for sponsored feature development, for sponsored module development, and we get out of the way. But we work with all of these other great agencies that will do everything you need. And today, there are at least 10 agencies that will take your money, that contribute heavily to commerce, that pay for development, that write their own code, that provide support to other people and promote commerce in their own ecosystems, which is great. You can see that there's 1x in Germany, that there's Nymedia in Norway, there's Circle in Serbia, there's Wunder Group in Finland and other places, Leap in Switzerland. Basically, this allows us to cover a lot of the local markets we wouldn't even be able to reach as a project. And it's a great sign of health. And these agencies are also launching great websites and creating great case studies. For example, 1x created a commerce2.tech site for the biggest food delivery on Iceland. It's using Commerce Recurring to send you food ingredients every month so that you can prepare your meals and you can say, skip this ingredient this week or send me something different in 2 weeks and so on. It's a really complex site that they built with no help from me, and I'm very happy to see that. Nymedia has a site called Academica, which is the biggest seller of university books in Norway, and they have 15 million products in commerce on Drupal 8 today, which means that it is the biggest Drupal commerce site on Drupal 8 in general. And that's also amazing. They have over 200,000 prices in their price lists. All of the numbers are huge, and it's working out well for them. In China, there's the crazy story of Zikang Fu, where they have a microservices architecture and commerce accepting transactions from different point-of-sale terminals. And since they have a lot of point-of-sale terminals and they sell a lot of fast food, they basically make $1 billion a year through that commerce system, which is just insane numbers. And the list goes on and on, but I won't focus on that too much anymore. What I want us to focus on is just where the project is going. And that is an interesting story. So our immediate next focus is to work on a commerce invoice module, which was frequently requested by European customers, which means that someone can place 100 orders during the month, and then at the end of it, they pay with a single invoice, and you can do like credit memos, you can generate using PDF, you can generate automatic numbers for the invoices, everything that you would expect from such a system. And it's a large module, and it's currently in progress. The next big focus is ensuring that Commerce has a really nice documented REST API. People are using JSON API to do all kinds of headless commerce sites today, but it's not enough if we don't have docs and we don't have all of the use cases supported that you can do with a regular site. So we are also working on improving that, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. We're working on integrating Layout Builder so you can use it to build your product pages. Everyone likes Layout Builder. And also, we are rebuilding the entire company. And some of you might have seen that because we launched it at DrupalCon Seattle, but basically Commerce Guys is now Sentaro. The name reflecting the fact that change is at the center of e-commerce. And with Sentaro, our goal is to launch small products that will be able to use as a funding source for commerce development, so that Drupal commerce development stays sustainable. And if you follow e-commerce companies in general, you'll know that they have a huge problem with sustainability. So the first step in that strategy is launching the Sentaro Toolbox, which is a set of automated tools that you can use to basically scan your website and improve it before you need to engage an expensive agency to fix your problems. And as you know, the first problem that sites frequently have is that they are out of date. Our update assistant gives you a pull request that updates core and all of the modules, limits it to security updates, or gives you everything, and so on. We also have a quality monitor that scans the code base for frequent performance or general quality problems so that you know what you need to fix before you proceed with anything else. And finally, we have an insights sales dashboard, which provides analytics that are not possible with a pure Drupal backend, which allows you to have campaigns and traffic sources and funnels and all of that you might be used to from Google Analytics. And with that, we also want to start approaching various gateways and external integrations so that they give us better pricing for our own users. You might know if you use Shopify, for example, you might get a discount on certain payment gateways. It would be great if us as a platform also had that. And you can see all of that already in use even on Drupal.org. Commerce Kickstart is constantly updated by our update assistant. And at the same time, if you've looked into the whole Drupal 9 story and if you've seen the Drupal check utility, that is our tool. That's what we developed for the quality monitor. And our own tool basically just adds additional rules on top of what you already use to update your code for Drupal 9. The toolbox, the sales dashboard has been in use for a year and a half now, and it's constantly expanded with new graphs and so on. So it's also in a really stable state. Some sites, some clients prefer to have the option of support so that they can pay someone when it goes wrong. We now offer that as well. The usual ticket-based Zendesk support, but we also allow agencies to prioritize certain issues in the Drupal queues. If they know they need something launched within 2 weeks, they can say, this is the issue I want worked on, and we have pricing per site or per agency. And the next step for Amsterdam will be launching a Sentaro cloud where you will get the usual hosting from platform.sh or Pantheon or whatever, but also with Sentaro Toolbox integrated free of charge. We'll see how that goes. I'm kind of speeding up here because we're almost at the end and I want to take a few questions as well. The goal with the REST API work that's happening this summer is prioritizing front-end requirements for people who are going to build custom front-ends, or if they're integrating something like Vue Storefront. I don't know if you've seen that project, but it's insanely nice. It's a Vue-based front-end for an e-commerce site, and you can use it to build a completely custom e-commerce front-end. It's really impressive. Of course, we need to take into account all of the workflows, shipping, rating, payments, so there's a lot of work to be done there. And then we want to provide out-of-the-box examples for React, for Gatsby, and for others. Once we have all of that, we can tie it together as Sentaro Enterprise, where we can sell a complete managed solution to big clients that want us to do both the hosting and the support, so that they don't have to worry about that, and we have another income source for funding open source. So that's about it. You've seen where we've come from. You've seen what our current status is. You've seen there's a lot of growth, and you've seen that we have business plans for the future. I would love to take a few questions before we finish. Go.
You already answered all of my questions.
Good, good. Anyone else? Well, go. Yeah. 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 The point of the question is that it would be really nice to have some kind of... Yes, that's what I'm doing. The point of the question is that it would be really nice to have a setup wizard that would guide you through adding additional modules and doing the initial setup. And WooCommerce has that, and it's a really nice touch, so I would love to do that as well. there's an issue in the Commerce queue about it. It's at least a year old. Let's brainstorm there how the steps would look and what functionality we want to cover. Another question? Well, if not, I'm here all week. Go.
Maybe a contrarian question. Would you do it again? Like, because commerce has gone this route of partner ecosystem and being very, very open. But because of that, you had to actually invent a product ecosystem. And like the differentiation between the product company and the partner ecosystem has been very difficult, I think. Would you do it again this way, or would you set it up differently?
Well, the question is, if we had to do all of this again, would we do it? And I guess the focus of your question is on the business side, not the technical side, yes. Well, when you look at it, we have changed strategy completely. The old Commerce Guys was an agency that competed with all other agencies. The new company is a vendor company that's specifically making money through extensions to the product, through sponsor development, through affiliate agreements with payment gateways and so on, so that we don't compete with agencies. I think this is a more healthy model, and I think that it fits the size at which we want to be in. Because there's a different business model if you have 15 people or if you have 150 and a VC investment. And now that we are, a bootstrapped company, this feels like the right approach. So I feel positively about what we're trying to do right now, which makes sense because it's my last idea. I haven't had any new ones since then. I'd love to discuss it further afterwards. It's a really interesting discussion. Yeah.
Apparently, thank you for speaking that briefly. I even get the impression that your old company also believed that same idea. But you've managed to turn things around and it's looking very promising.
Yeah, so there are two good questions here. The first question is about a company from the community that attacked Drupal Commerce for being dead in 2016. The second question is about whether the company itself that made platform.sh at the time believed so as well. And those are two great topics. The first one is that the agency attacking us was really unfair, because what they did is they wanted to promote their Magento connector, and they wanted to persuade everyone that they shouldn't be using Commerce, they should be using Magento. Then a year later, they decided that Magento was a terrible idea because their projects didn't go as well as they hoped, so they started selling Shopify Plus, and then they started attacking both Commerce again and Magento. So every time these people change their business model, they attack me. It's not great, but I'll survive. The old company didn't believe that Commerce was a dead end, but the old company took millions and millions of euros of investment. When you take other people's money, they start controlling your business. They are on your board, they are influencing your strategy, they're telling you what to do. Those people want a large return. They don't want to give you 20 million to get 25 million back. They want to get 100 million or nothing. That's how VC funding works, unfortunately. And those people wanted a cloud platform because it's much easier to earn billions by selling a cloud platform than by selling an e-commerce solution. E-commerce solutions traditionally haven't earned a lot of money for VC. And that's why it made sense for them to continue with the cloud while us continuing separately. And they gave us a lot of support to spin out and ensure we stay healthy. But for me personally, it was about ensuring that the potential we have here to give something to the community that the community wants to use and help develop, that kind of energy doesn't go to waste. And I think we are succeeding, and I think we've managed to reboot the community well, because let's be honest, Drupal 8 was a reboot for everyone, and I think we've managed to create a healthier ecosystem and a healthier community and project since then. I think we are well out of time, but I will be around, so feel free to find me in the sprint room. Thank you, everyone.